Hello, this is approximately my 100th video. Pretty big milestone, although by the time it goes up, it won't look like it's my 100th video because I'll have, removed a bunch of stuff to make my channel a little bit more presentable. But, if you're a subscriber, this is the first time you've heard my voice in this channel in years, and if you're not a subscriber, you have no idea who I am, so hi, my name is Barrel. I'm an amateur musician, producer, composer, whatever, and I've been posting my music on this channel for a long time now. You might know me from iconic songs like, okay, don't listen to that. You might also know me from, my very popular r/boss fight videos, which, I don't know why people like those so much, but, I'm grateful for it. I never want to sound like I'm not grateful for it. Anyway, getting back to the point, recently I've been lamenting the fact I kind of don't have an audience. And before you say, what about your 5,000 subscribers? Yes, I'm very aware of them, and I'm very, I love all you guys, but none of them really know me. So, going through with the big content change I've been planning for quite a while now. So, going forward, I'm going to be talking a lot more about music and video games, and if you're here, you probably like those two things, so stick around, maybe. Your subscription is appreciated if you decide to subscribe. Alright, anything else I gotta talk about? Today's video. I figured, what better way to mark my change in style than with a big video about FNF, the game that has completely taken over my life for a while. FNF has been the focus of most of my original music for a pretty sizable chunk of time, and although none of it has ever been in a mod, unless you count that, I mean, yeah, that's pretty cool. I might have some stuff in the works. There's no way of ever knowing, honestly. I used to work on a ton of mods, but all of them were either canceled or in development hell. The amount of songs I made for mods that have never seen the light of the day genuinely escapes me. Anyway, some of you have already clicked off by now because I'm yapping, so let me actually start this damn video. I'm not even going to bother explaining what FNF is. If you're here, you know. Rhythm game, rap battles, thriving modding community, blah blah blah. I went through a grueling process of gathering over 300 FNF songs that I slowly narrowed down to this list here. And over the course of 4 videos, we'll be covering the entire thing. So subscribe if you don't want to miss the sequels. Anyway, some of these songs are actually pretty obscure. You might find something you didn't know about before. Cool, so I think that's all I gotta say for that little intro. If you'd like to skip straight to the ranking, use the chapters. For anyone who still has an attention span left, I'll be briefly explaining how I rank these songs. And you might want to hear this, because I've got some pretty hot takes on this list. So, 1. The most important factor is obviously how the song sounds. Is it good? Then it'll probably place higher. Duh. I might talk about a little bit of music theory if I deem it important, but I want this video to be accessible, so I won't get into anything too complex, at least for this video. Though I'd love to get more into that in future projects. Visuals don't matter much, but they also don't hurt. A good song can be enhanced if you associate with certain visuals with it. And I'll play my favorite parts of the song after every entry on the list. Number 2, I'm heavily taking into account how unique the song is. In a community with so many songs, some of them tend to blend together? No shade to anyone in particular, but I can only hear Genesis eBay so many times before I start to get tired of it. So yeah, how different a song is from its contemporaries is super important to this list. Number 3, the song has to be playable. No menu themes or nothing. I'm sorry, my beloved Bop City menu theme, you'll get your laurels another day. I'm also ranking the version of the song from the most recent update, though I will take into account prior versions of the song as well as upcoming ones. Remixes are allowed, but the fact they're inherently derivative does put them at a disadvantage. And number 4, these are all my opinions. These are not the best FNF mod songs, these are my favorite FNF mod songs. My biases exist, and they will become increasingly apparent as the video progresses. Take that into account, but also feel free to agree or disagree in the comments below. Engagement bait. Also, side note, despite how big of a fan I am and how long I've been in this community, I'm genuinely fucking terrible at FNF. It's actually kind of embarrassing. I can beat the base game, but nothing harder than that. For this reason, most of the gameplay in this video is sourced from Community Game. Some of the more obscure mods are sourced from other people as well. The links to all their channels will be in the description. I tried to edit a decent amount, so I'm not straight up just ripping other people's footage and talking over it, but go show them some love. Community Game is the GOAT. Everyone else, you're also the GOAT. So, what else? Oh, yeah. I finalized this list at the end of the summer of last year, and I'm not changing it anymore because this took forever. Mods are releasing every damn day, and I genuinely cannot keep up. If there's any songs I really like or change my opinion on, I'll leave it in a pinned comment maybe. But yeah, no, I just could not, I could not keep updating the list, even though so many good things are happening. Like FNF Weekly is still updating, it's crazy. But anyway, thank you for listening. And hi, people who use the timestamp. We definitely weren't talking about you back there. Yeah, and without further ado, let's go. We're counting down the top 100. Yippee! Choosing the 100th song on this list was almost as hard as choosing the first, because this is like the cutoff point, right? And there are so many amazing songs that I wanted to include, but just couldn't. And amongst all the candidates for this list, one of them just beat the others. Beat. Is that a stretch for a joke? At number 100, we have Beat It from Graffiti Groovin', composed by Sugar Moon. Graffiti Groovin' is actually so underrated, like most modern OC mods. In many ways, it feels like a throwback to classic OC mods when the community was still new, and Beat It almost embodies that concept. It really does feel somewhat nostalgic to me. In fact, I think it would be right at home in the base game, or at least the instrumental would. The sharp synth stabs, the punchy percussion, the beatboxing section, and especially the electric piano chords in the more low-key measures are painfully kawaii sprite. It really reminds me of Week 3. But I don't think I just like this song because it reminds me of the style of another composer. In fact, I think Sugar Moon puts enough of their own spin on it through the vocals. The atonal chromatic scales, that means chromatic with no melody or specific pitch if you're living under a rock, they sound really great here. I am a nerd, and I have played far too much of the Hell game, so I instantly recognize Zeri's Too Slow in Scarlet's chromatic scale.
Too slow! Crushed it!
I believe Mora's chromatic scales come from a lead character as well, Evelyn if my memory serves correctly, but I don't hear it nearly as clearly. That aside, Mora does sound great here. The best she does in the entire mod, in my opinion. The combination of their chromatics really make this song feel like a rap battle, which is a surprising rarity for the game that's literally about rap battling. Mora's voice is like aggressive and biting, while Scarlet's voice is spiteful, yet teasing. It strongly evokes both their characters, and it's also just fun to listen to. My biggest complaint with this song, and the reason it can go no higher, is its length. Remember how I said it'd fit in with base game? Well, most base game songs, especially classic base game songs, aren't much longer than 1:30, and this one is no different. Most mod songs have slowly crept up in length to generally be closer to 2 minutes, so this one, it doesn't overstay its welcome, but it leaves you wanting more. And when my main critique is that the song is too short, well, that should tell you it's a pretty good song. This next pick is either going to make you lose or gain respect for me.
3, 2, 1, go!
Yep, number 99 is Hard Smile, composed by Saga, originally as a standalone track, then later featured in the one-shot mod Smiling Pastas, Hard Smile, which you're seeing footage of right now. What a strange song. The story of how it came to be is actually pretty interesting. If I recall correctly, Saga was just working on a Sunday song, and the chromatic they made for the player character just happened to sound like Charlie Smiley Friends, which led to this song. And despite how out there the concept of Charlie meaning Slenderman is, I think the reason this resonated with so many people is because of its tone. This song perfectly captures the feeling of a Smiling Friends episode in which they meet Slenderman. And while the production is simple, it's spooky, it's awkward, and doesn't take itself seriously in the slightest. There's absolutely no way Zach and Michael would give a creepypasta character any actual stakes. It'd be less like a silly Halloween special and more like Tara's cameo in The Boss Finds Love. This song just gets that. It gets what the feeling of Smiling Friends is, and it's fun. And I can't discuss Hard Smile without even touching on the voices. The Charlie voice, which apparently wasn't even meant to be a Charlie voice, sounds so silly. He comes off as so uncomfortable with the situation, especially in the moments he repeats himself lower, which is hard to capture with a chromatic scale. But we have to acknowledge the absolutely amazing Slendy vocals. His voice samples the song You 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 by the Amos Brothers, which I played briefly in the intro, and the low, old-timey, sing-songy vocals, they fit him so well. Despite using melodic vocals, the melody feels sequenced as if it's an atonal scale, which gives it a super unique vibe. Slenderman is a character that almost always doesn't talk, and while other songs have tried to sample his jump scare sound for his chromatic, that sounds like... Anyway, yeah, he sounds amazing, and the jump scare sounds are used in a very tasteful atonal way that sounds pretty great interspersed with his other vocals, as well as backing up Charles Doppler. Dude, why can I not say section? This is insane. My only major critique is the slow section. Though I do like the idea of having a bridge before the finale, this part really needs some sustained vocals. Vocals that Slendy and Chuck just can't provide. They both have like very short notes in their chromatic scales, and that part definitely would be better with like some longer drawn out things. Despite that, I love this song! I love this song!
My ear is still ringing from that noise.
It's garbage and childish.
Oh boy. Time to get my guilty pleasure out of the way. No, Hard Smile was not the guilty pleasure. You haven't even seen how guilty I can be. Yeah, I'm serious. At number 98, we've got Sanctuary from Arcade Showdown, composed by Paper Kitty. You've gotta respect Paper Kitty. They literally got in, made one of the most iconic FNF mods of all time completely by themselves, and got out. And now they just work on other projects. And as much as I love Cappy, Sanctuary takes first prize for me in terms of Arcade Showdown tracks. Though it's still only 98 on the list, so spoiler alert, there won't be any more Cappy songs, but despite being a relatively obscure secret song based on an even more obscure Roblox game, Obby for Meat Chip, Sanctuary has stuck with me from the moment I first heard it. It's just so... what? Like, the only reaction you can have when you see it is, what? And the song definitely sounds like that. Like, it just sounds like confusion. The strange, unpredictable bass line that I believe samples the Roblox classic trowel sound, which is pretty cool, unironically, to the echoing synths and arpeggios and the strange, jumpy electric piano chords. Like, I don't know what vibe this song is going for, but whatever it is, full marks. It's delightfully weird. The instrumental is easily my favorite part of the track. The vocals are alright, but I think they only specifically work for this song. They're just too unusual to really fit over any other backing. Pig's chromatic in particular is nothing to write home about. It sounds fine. There isn't really any variation in the vowels, though. Guest 71, on the other hand, is a pretty cool scale, even if they are basically just spamming Roblox Gears sound effects. It sounds fun, and I don't have much to say here, but as a final point, Guest 71 is a skunkly.
If you trouble the trouble.
It's kind of funny that, like, despite the name of the game being Friday Night Funkin', we don't often delve into the funk genre as a community. But when we do, it sounds pretty cool.
3, 2, 1, go!
At number 97, we've got Troublemakers by Seamith. Ooh, it cannot be that. It cannot be Seaman. Smith. This song is from Tux Treble, which is a classic mod about the BSD operating system's mascot Beastie. However, this mod is more specifically inspired by the kart racing game Super Tux Kart, which is why we've got these two goopers. Gav Rock, the mascot of GNU Project, and Hexley, the mascot of Darwin OS. You don't want to know where I got this render. Why did I tell you all that? Well, for one, I don't know, maybe I just like hearing my own voice. For two, I feel like this mod has mostly been forgotten, so I wanted to give you a little rundown. It has nothing to do with the song, really. Which is what I was supposed to be talking about. It's good. It's super funky with like an insanely groovy bass line. I honestly find myself not having much to say. Sometimes the song is just straight up solid. It's honestly remarkable how well this track has aged. I think there are less duets than most modern songs have, but the production is still excellent, and the one duet the song does have is heavenly. Hexley's high vocals alternating with Gavroche's, I really hope I'm saying that name right, but Gavroche's lower vocals is super cool, especially on the last turn. After they've been alternating the entire song, they finally get one more groovy solo in which they switch back and forth multiple times, and Boyfriend instantly fires back, handling their duet all on his own, which is a nice bit of musical storytelling demonstrating he's better than both of them individually. Speaking of BF, this is the first song on the list he has appeared on, which is kind of funny considering he's the main character of like the base game. He sounds good. I like the vibrato and his high notes, though I do kind of think he sounds just a little dry. I mentioned Hex and Gav's vocals earlier, but they kill it here. Their chromatics remind me of a talk box, which is extremely fitting for this song's style. Yeah, it's good stuff. Also, Smith, I'm still not quite sure how to say that name, they released a 2-year anniversary medley of this mod soundtrack. You should go check it out. Okay, next song. Everything we've talked about so far has been somewhat obscure or largely forgotten. You guys might actually know this one. Where he at?
YouTube poop.
Coming in at number 96, we've got Peanut Butter from Y2P Invasion, composed by DPC and Athengem. Our first song on the list to be a collaboration between multiple composers, though I'm actually not sure if this was an actual team-up or if this is just DPC's arrangement of Athengem's take on Peanut Butter. Regardless, these are both talented composers. I only really know of Athengem's work on Y2P Invasion, which, side note, is very good. Richer and No Scope were both almost on this list, spoiler they are not. DPC's music I'm a lot more intimately familiar with. I feel like their work should really be more valued than it is. I rarely hear them in the discussion when it comes to goated FNF composers, which is maybe because they don't really tend to work on big horror mods that often end up being the most popular. Or maybe it's because the biggest mod I think they've ever worked on is...
Here comes the FBI! Oh, wait, what?
That aside, I think their style is super unique and groovy, and the genres they specialize in aren't really the kind of genres most in the community do. I'm just saying DPZ could make a Saster song, but could Saster make a DPZ song? Look, this is a joke, clearly. I would never throw shade at my beloved, glorious goat Saster. I have a shrine to him that I pray softly to every night.
Get off that nigga dick, bro.
I cannot believe I spent all that time on exposition. I should actually discuss the music. And yeah, it's great. It has a super danceable rhythm to it, and I love how it starts out simple, similar to the original, before breaking out into the full soundscape of the track. The vocals feel more Athengem in nature, probably because they're largely from the original Peanut Butter. I really like that Humba doesn't have a normal chromatic, simply singing the original Peanut Butter Jelly song by DJ Chipman. It gives him a bit of personality, and hearing BF mimic him with beeps and boops is kinda silly, but this instrumental is distinctly DPZ, and ooh, those disco strings are juicy. The part with the brass is also like insanely funky. What with the OG PBJT being mostly a hip-hop track, I didn't think the vocals would work so well over this disco house beat, but they honestly fit perfectly. This track is just fun, high energy, really everything you could want from a more lighthearted FNF song. But I'm done with the lighthearted shit. Let's do a song where someone is gonna die.
When's imposter is us.
Yeah, murder bitches.
3, 2, 1, go!
At number 95, we've got Double Kill by Rareblend from Versus Imposter. What an amazing mod, seriously. So much content, so many talented people working on it, seriously! But I don't need to introduce Versus Imposter to you, you know what it is. Let's talk about the song. Yeah, Double Kill is insane. It's not my favorite song in Imposter, we'll get to that much later, but I think it might have my favorite chorus. You know the one, easily one of the catchiest melodies in the whole mod, it really worms into your brain. But I'm getting ahead of myself. This song instantly opens strong. The Among Us Imposter sound opens up the track, and we're hit with a pretty slow, low-key opening, but it doesn't stay that way for long. It quickly opens up into a full soundscape. The electric guitar fits perfectly with the heavy, EDM-esque drums and strings. The song builds and builds in intensity until we get the absolutely excellent chorus that I mentioned previously. One thing I love about this chorus is how it shows the difference in characters. White sings a clear, hard-hitting melody, while Black sings a similar progression with a lot more notes. It shows that White cares more about the melodic coherence of the song and the theatrics of it all, while Black is more concerned with simply getting the job done. At the final chorus of the song, the two of them duet and hit Boyfriend with a combination of both of their versions of the chorus, and it sounds amazing. This whole song is just really emblematic of their dynamic as characters. The idea of Black being more locked in on actually killing BF is followed up on at the end of the song, almost as if Black thinks White is slowing them down. So they solo the end of the song, but they don't hit Boyfriend with immediate spam. No, they finish the song off with a slow, deliberate Sussus Mugus leitmotif, and it feels like a threat, which makes sense because the next song, if we're going in order of weeks, the next songs are Defeat and Finale. Speaking of leitmotifs though, I just love the usage of leitmotifs in this song. Versus Imposter and Roeblin's music as a whole are just really good at using these. White sings a snippet of their motif, Oversight, and Black sings a bit of their motif, which is featured in both Danger and Defeat. And Boyfriend sings a little bit of D-Low, which is probably Yellow's motif, but it could also be considered just like the general crewmate motif. Similarly, I think Sussus Mugus, which Black sings at the end, could be considered the Imposter motif. And finally, the instrumental contains a bit of the instrumental to Sussus Mugus at multiple points, which is recurring throughout the mod, and I think it could kind of be considered like the overarching melody of the entire mod. I'm totally rambling, guys, like I just wrote like crazy on this part of the script, but this song is just really good. Last thing I gotta say is I quite like Black's vocals here. They're very shrill, even compared to the other Amoguses, but I think over an instrumental like this, they really work. My only complaint is that the song is maybe a little long. I don't see why it had to be almost 5 minutes. Oh, and there's also a V2 that isn't in the mod, but I'm not ranking it, so you should go check it out. It's pretty neat. Alright, moving on. This is just Your Demise version 1 if it locked the fuck in. Coming in at 94, it's Your Demise by DPZ for Doki Doki Takeover. I never disliked the original Your Demise. It was pretty short, but relatively inoffensive and decent for the time that it came out. The biggest issue with it was a serious lack of originality and personality. The instrumental was dull. It didn't really make any major changes over the course of its runtime. The vocals were just slightly altered leitmotifs from Thorns and Your Reality, which is kind of lazy, I won't lie, which is absolutely no disrespect to the original composers. At least not for their compositional work. I'm aware of the controversy with one of them. They laid the groundwork, and it's been years. I'm sure they've improved. But in the present, DPZ saved this song from mediocrity. Speaking of which, hello again, DPZ. Did I hear Never Miss? Okay, but I'm not just gonna glaze the composer, let's actually talk about the song. It's great. I love the feudal Asia inspiration with the instrumentation. Ooh, bars. But yeah, it just makes Monica feel like a samurai. But this take on the song doesn't just spice up the instrumental, it also like completely elevates the vocals. This song includes the leitmotifs that were spammed in the original track, but it also features a bunch of new original sections and melodies that ended up becoming my favorite parts of the song. There are so many moving parts here, so many different diverse sections, but it all really comes together. I really like the slower section with the trap beat and the Thorns motif. It reminds me of the slower sections of Thorns with the chanting, which I assume was the intention. Definite highlight is the build up right before the key change. It sounds so menacing. Oh, and I just glossed over the key change, but it sounds sick as well. My only major critique is during the third section where the faster beat is interrupted by the slower flute sections. I think this is cool in theory, but I think it was used too much and it kind of breaks up the flow of the song, but that's literally it. The only other thing isn't a complaint, but I am genuinely kind of curious where the decision to make everything all Eastern feeling came from. I don't recall any songs from DDLC sounding like this. Again, not a complaint. Just as a musician, I often wonder what led other musicians to the decisions they made, because I would have never thought of this, and I think that's partly why I'm so drawn to it. Bottom line, awesome and super unique song. The Skrunkly, yippee!
3, 2, 1, yeah!
number 93, we've got Animal B3 Remix, composed by Kriagato, hopefully I said that right, for B2 Remixed. You know, there are many joke songs that dangle the prospect of a good song above your head before snatching it away and revealing, this song is actually bad, wah! 15 Lucas, for example, I love 15 Lucas, but the song 15 Lucas from 15 Lucas, that song seems like it might be cool, but then it just kind of sells. This song seems like it's going to do something like that. It starts out with a heavy electric guitar and you're like, hell yeah, metal version of Animal. But then everything stops when Annie transforms into La Crichara and hits you with the most mischievous ass beat known to man. But it's not bad. It's unexpected, but it still sounds great, and that's what I love about it. Not only that, but it does eventually give you the metal version of Animal you were promised, both in the sections where the scrunkly Annie plays the guitar, she is so talented, and in the section at the end where the transformation wears off. So this song doesn't disappoint you, it just teases you for a little. It's like, haha, you don't get your rock song today, and then after messing with you for a bit, it's like, oh, alright, here's some guitar, you crazy character. Korea described this song as a joke song in response to a comment on the OST video, and I think that's a perfect description of it. I don't just like this track for its sense of humor though. Like I said, the song's just really good. My favorite parts are definitely the sections where Annie's chromatic is a xylophone. I really love percussive instruments like xylophone, marimba, and glockenspiel, and it was definitely a good choice for this fun, bouncy backing track. I've never heard an FNF song quite so silly before. I do also like the guitar parts, but not as much. Oh, and I totally forgot to mention Garcelo's drum part. His little round of applause after Annie goes crazy is so cute. I can't let this song go much higher considering it's a remix, which means it's inherently derivative, but I do definitely like it more than the original, which might be blasphemy because, Animal is Animal, but it is pretty old by this point. Regardless, I think this is an awesome take on a classic. B2 Remix is such an underrated mod. We'll be revisiting it later, but for now, let's move on.
That's it. It's time for a big shot.
There are many Spampton songs in the community, and all of them have their merits. Hyperlink excels chromatic-wise, Pirate Indie Games has a fantastic instrumental, but one song, in my eyes, just simply goes the hardest.
2, 1, go.
It's funny that we're getting 2 tracks from different mods made by the B3 team back to back. At number 82, we've got That's Right by YF Muse from Varun Guy. You know, I've always wondered why Spampton is even here. What does he have to do with Varun Guy? Bro thinks he's on the team. I can't even complain though, because, like I said, this song goes insanely hard. Similar to the last song, I can't let it get too high on the list, as it's mostly based on compositions by Toby Fox, so obviously it's gonna be good, but wow, this just sounds stellar. I managed to cram in so many facets of Spampton as a character. His chaotic energy, his connection to Noel, even his bracketed non sequiturs or samples or whatever are integrated, or at least I think they are. The moment when he interrupts the entire song to sing Happy Birthday without any regard for the key and BPM of the current track reminds me a lot of his bracket text, and it's just a painfully Spampton thing to do. And we get one of his weird, staticky, depressive episode thingies too, right before the world revolving beat drop. We just have to sit in silence with him for a while. And then the song starts again like normal. Perfect. Also, speaking of the world revolving part though, or the freedom motif if you subscribe to that theory, it's actually angelic in this. Like, they went so hard on Varun Guy of all things, and for what? Like, we get the little explosion sound that Spampton makes that leads us right into it after we hear Noel's chromatic for the first time. The thumping bass and the heavy kick mixing with the super tasty synth they use for the main motif just makes the whole thing feel, I don't know, epic? I'm really lacking the word to describe it, but geez Louise, it's just hard, bro. It's got me ascending every time. Again, it's odd to me that this song is in Varun Guy. Spampton and Varun Guy both have good voices, but they're also pretty similar to each other. I think I'd almost prefer it if Spampton was backed up by someone with a higher voice as juxtaposition. Actually, Noel does fulfill that high voice request pretty well. Her chromatic is actually amazing and it fits her so well. I kinda wish she sang more. That's really my only hang up. Get it? Hang up? Like a phone.
Just ask her out, dude. The worst you can say is no.
Bro, she beat me in a rap battle.
3, 2, 1, go!
Our first repeated mod, at number 91 we've got Wilted from Doki Doki Takeover, composed by Gigi Galactical, something along those lines. Before I even talk about this song, I gotta talk about the fact I really love the setup. Senpai, who keep in mind is a different person than Spirit, realizes he's in a game same as Monika, so he immediately searches for love and affection from the one person he sees as real. It's the exact same as Monika's motivation, except instead of going for the player, he goes for Monika. Monika, of course, is like, bro, don't go down that path, that's how I ended up killing all my friends and getting fucking deleted, with absolutely no interest in Senpai. But you know, his dumbass is not listening. That is a perfect situation, it feels very in character for both of them. No notes. And the song is also really great. In DDLC, every character is represented by an instrument. You see Yuri is strings, Natsuki is a recorder, and also sometimes a xylophone, and Sayori is a ukulele and/or an acoustic guitar, I don't actually know. Monika is of course a piano. This song even gives Senpai an instrument of his own to match the girls, which is the retro country synth. And the instrumental of the song combines Monika's piano with Senpai's synths, and I think that's really cool. I don't know if it was intentional or if I'm just overthinking things, but yeah, it makes the instrumentation really unique. Something about this song feels like it should have lyrics. Like, you know how some people make those like FNF with lyric videos, and sometimes they don't really sound that good because FNF vocals are just too fast and erratic to put actual like words over? This song I feel like vocals would actually fit really well into, and that may be because it takes heavy inspiration from like a normal song with words instead of beeps and boops. Scary, I know. It's I Can't Decide by the Scissor Sisters, to be clear. I actually liked that song, and I liked it before this mod, so it was surprising to hear it referenced. Besides that, there's also obvious references to DDLC and Week 6, and it all just comes together into a really pleasant sounding package. But even besides the references, the melodies here are just deadass really strong. I love the structure of the song, and how all the sections flow together. It's just excellently crafted. Again, no notes, barrel approved. And I'm running out of transitions for these sections.
We must stay focused, brothers. We must stay.
Woomy.
3, 2, 1, go!
Finishing off the 90s, we've got Octo Amazon, composed by Rainbow Soap for Versus Elite Octoling. This is absolutely a throwback to a mod that in my eyes has been largely forgotten by the wider community, which is a shame since I've always really liked the soundtrack to this mod. Plus, it's the first mod I remember seeing with multiple smooth mid-song animations that still hold up really well to this day. Rainbow Soap isn't someone who is really in the community barring this mod, but they did an absolutely amazing job capturing the style of classic Splatoon tracks. The sorta like sharp saw wave synths and the bouncy energetic feel are super close to the game's style. I learned while doing research for this video that the songs were made first and then City made the animations afterwards, which is super interesting to me because the animations combined with the music add so much character to this track. For example, in some sections of the song, you get put into a don't miss section, where Ezeli points her gun at Agent 4, and whoa, holy moly, awooga, eyes pop out of head, boy yo yo. Points her gun at him and absolutely nothing distracting happens. During these sections, the synths in the background sound really uncertain as the pitch slowly rises. It sounds like nervous. It sounds like Agent 4 is genuinely begging for his life during these solos, until Ezeli finally decides, that was pretty good, you're off the hook for now. Get it off the hook. When the song goes back to normal after the super tense sections, it feels like the song is doing a sigh of relief, and it goes right back to its playful, fun tone. One part of this track has been stuck in my head even all these years later. The ending is one of the most cathartic beat drops in any FNF song ever to this day. Right after Agent 4 has to go through the longest don't miss section yet, with Esley threateningly brandishing her weapon the entire time, we get an instrumental break. She does this adorable animation. Then we get the payoff to that entire build-up, and holy smokes does it deliver. The melody here does appear earlier in the song, but it sounds the best here. The chromatics really shine during this duet. Speaking of which, these chromatics are still really impressive. They sound like absolutely perfect for Inklings and Octolings, and Esley's high notes are a particular highlight. I also really respect the choice to make Agent 4 a male Inkling, despite the female ones usually being the popular choice. It allows for his low notes to really back up the high notes, and it adds for some great melodic contrast. I just really have to remind people this mod exists. I just really have to remind people this mod exists. It's aged like pretty damn well. The name of this song is frustratingly clever. A real like, why didn't I think of that moment.
3, 2, 1, go!
Sprinting into number 89, we've got Fraudicini from FNF Weekly, composed by Clover D-Russ and the Wawbox. I love FNF Weekly. 100% the mod of the summer, or at least it was the mod of the summer when I started working on this video in 2024. I would say, let me know if you want to get a standalone video about FNF Weekly, but I think I plan on making that regardless of what your answer is. I'd really like the opportunity to talk in length about Weekly, but that won't be in this video. For now, let's just talk about this song. It's like, really good. Something I can always praise Weekly for is how accurately it nails the musical style of everything it features, and that's no different here. The instrumental is sick, feels like it jumps straight out of Pizza Tower and right into FNF, obviously taking heavy inspiration from Pizza Time Never Ends. Despite this, it does manage to stand out in many ways from its PTOST counterpart. The middle section has a super interesting chord progression, and I love the little runs they do with Peppino and Fake Peppino's chromatic scales. Speaking of which, that's another thing I can praise FNF Weekly on, consistently amazing chromatic scales. This is just how Peppino and Fake Peppino would sound. No notes, no red pen. They sound similar to each other, but something about Fake Peppino is just not quite right. A little too high, a little too raspy. I don't know how they did it, because in That's Right, I complained about their chromatic scales being too similar, but here it's great. I think it's because Fake Peppino fulfills that higher voice role I was looking for. There are so many little details to commend in this song too. I really like that Peppino actually starts the song, so Fake Peppino is literally mimicking him. I also love the instrumental in the section right after the slow part. The Pizza Time Never Ends melody starts again, and you expect it to sound like the intro or the outro to the song, but instead the leitmotif descends with the chord progression. I love stuff like that. I also quite like the end when it speeds up out of nowhere, though I kind of wish it was a more gradual BPM shift upwards instead of a sudden smash cut. I'll definitely talk even more about this song in my dedicated FNF Weekly video. That, or I'll have nothing to say because I already said it all here. Flip a coin.
Hey kid, do you want a wiener in your mouth?
This song touched me inappropriately.
3, 2, 1, go!
Baby girl, daddy phone.
Unfortunately, at number 88, we've got BBG by Guy or Dog Guy from Undertale, Poop Shitters. God, everything about this song is just designed to make you as uncomfortable as possible. That subtle, heavy breathing that can be heard throughout the instrumental, the bed squeaks, the disjointed bass line, the cornball sexual harassment-ass voice lines. You know, no other FNF thing has ever gotten this close to inducing pure terror in me. Horror mods wish they could be this scary. But at the same time, it sounds genuinely really good. and it's kind of genius in its own way. Like, sampling the audio from the original video is unironically an inspired choice. I actually ended up going down a bit of like a rabbit hole trying to find the origins of the audio. I'm not quite sure where the voice comes from, but I think the instrumental samples Dirty Talk European Connection, just like pitched down a lot. But tangent, not important. It's hard for a song to sound so wrong, but also so right. I love how BBG Sans slowly reveals how fucked up he really is, the instrumental progressively becoming more and more unhinged. It starts out pretty simple, but it really builds on itself. During the very last scene change, the piano starts spamming seemingly random notes, and it sounds like the whole song is collapsing in on itself. Then we can hear bits and pieces of the lead instrumental from Sans, the song, not the character, creeping in. And the little sound font details like that are really the only direct Undertale references we get. There aren't really any leitmotifs here, at least that I can hear, which I'm not complaining about. It's nice to hear something Undertale related that is just completely original. I actually didn't realize you were playing as Girlfriend here. I don't know if I'm alone in that, but I actually didn't recognize the chromatic, and last I checked, GF's arms aren't gray. She sounds good though. Not nearly as cheerful or chill as most GF chromatics, but I don't blame her. The events on screen do not make me personally feel particularly happy or relaxed. Is it possible to get a restraining order against a fictional character? Do you think they asked him to pose like this, or he just did that? Number 87, we've got Dismantle from Orpal Guy, composed by Mar Starbro. If there's one thing Mar Starbro knows how to do, it's make rock music. This is an absolutely classic MSB tune, and honestly, that just immediately makes it solid. I could end this section here. But if there's two things Mar Starbro knows how to do, the other one is making really good throwback retro stuff. We saw it with the Genesis section in You Can't Run, and we see it here with the 8-bit section in Dismantle. But I'm totally getting ahead of myself. I mean, the cutscene is technically part of the track, right? So I have to at least acknowledge that. I think the choir coming in with the insanely detailed buff Orpal might be genuinely my favorite bit in the mod. Also, sonically, it's a pretty cool intro. Even after the cutscene, the song starts strong. Dismantle is simple, it doesn't try to do anything too crazy, but it knows its fundamentals. It's catchy, it has a bit of intensity, nothing too crazy, and I like it. But before the Atari section, it honestly doesn't stand out to me too much. But that segment really elevates it. It makes the track a lot more varied and unique with its sole existence, sure, but it also randomly drops one of the most catchy melodies in the entire mod on us. Orpal Guy has a habit of this, I swear. You'll just be listening to like Blubber or something, and then all of a sudden you get hit with an absolute earworm. Shit sounds like a damn megalo. Blubber actually barely didn't make it on this list, fun fact. But back on topic, Orpal's chromatic sounds actually really good in this section. In my opinion, his voice can be a little hit or miss since it's so raspy, but it works here. Like, more than maybe anywhere else in the mod. The track returns to normal after the Atari section, and I do think that's a bit of a downgrade, but not by much. I appreciate the ramp up in intensity with Orpal like crashing out with the glitching noises and Boyfriend's atonals. It's not Boyfriend. Brooke? What kind of name is... Oh, that's Brooke. Oh my god, he is so small. Bro definitely gets pegged. Not that there's anything wrong. At number 86, we've got Identity Crisis. I forgot to write an intro for this one.
3, 2, 1, go!
At number 86, we've got Identity Crisis by the returning Burblin and Dog Guy, still haven't figured out how to say that, and a new face, but I definitely don't know how to say this one. Vruzin? Anyway, they're very talented. They don't really make FNF music anymore. Congrats on making it out. Anyway, this song is from the Versus Imposter mod, and there's a lot to love about it. More than any other song in the mod, it feels like a whole boss fight, with a real air of mystery about it, since we don't get to learn much about Monotone, this guy, very much in the mod itself. From the very intro, you're kind of left with a something isn't right feeling. The intro is slow and calm for a bit, before the fake BF reveals his true form. The choir swells as Monotone is revealed, and he makes a simple threat.
No more seconds.
Ugh, chills every time, man. That voice line goes so hard. Immediately after this, he goes into his first transformation, the first opponent of the mod, Red. Red's section is simple, but it serves as a great intro to the premise of the song, and I really appreciate the Sussus Mugus leitmotif. It's used a ton in this mod, but you know, it's cool. After this, Monotone comes back for a build-up section. Monotone is mostly used in this song for bridges, build-up, and transitions between the shape-shifting sections. He actually kind of reminds me of Xenophane's In Triple Trouble in that way. The next section is actually what I consider my favorite of the initial three. Green sounds really good here, the choir is going crazy, and the melody I mentioned earlier that I consider the overarching leitmotif of Versus Imposter can be heard in the background. My favorite part is this little breakdown here. I love the way the background melody pauses to give Green a chance to go off, and then reworks itself and comes back right after. Once Green's section finishes, we get a very neat sounding instrumental section. The acoustic guitar here sounds super menacing, the song slowly starts to return, and then Monotone musically smash cuts into his next section, featuring heavy power chords with one epic drum fill, and then we get Black's section. I love the way the kind of synthy brass sounds here, but on the other hand, I really wish Black's section was longer. It has a really satisfying chord progression. But on the other hand, it gets us to the final stretch of the song faster, and oh boy, the final stretch, bro. The build-up is just sick, dude. The choir coming in, the gorgeous strings, it feels like despair is starting to set in, and as the chaotic brass drowns out the rest of the instrumental, the melody ends unresolved and everything goes silent. And then Boyfriend forcefully brings the song back with the most defiant melody I've ever heard. Ugh, cinema. And as the guitar screams in the background, Monotone uses every transformation he can against Boyfriend, but it's just no use. Such a satisfying payoff to the pure menace of the rest of the song. Just like the hope and the energy this section brings, it just ties everything together, and it gives it a real look how far you've come feeling. I love this song. I think it would work so well as the final song for the mod. But, it isn't, which is a shame, because I think I prefer it to Finale by like quite a bit, but that's a tangent for another day. Moving on.
Maybe it's the way you're dressed.
Sans Undertale. I'm just gonna say Gino for this section because I don't know how YouTube feels about the word. Coming in at number 85, we got Burning in Hell from Indie Cross, composed by The Innuendo and Saster. Burning in Hell is a song that's difficult for me to write about, not because there's nothing to say, but just because I think it's a very strong baseline for good. I do think it has a very good representation of Geno Sans without being just Megalovania. In fact, it includes various Undertale leitmotifs that aren't related to Sans at all. In many ways, it feels like a love letter to all of Undertale. My favorite motif features the little bit of core, since that's one of my favorite songs in the Undertale soundtrack. I think it's super underrated, so I always go hooray when it makes an appearance. Obviously, this song didn't end up on this list for references alone, though. Like, the original aspects of a track are ultimately what matter to me the most, and in this instance, I think I enjoy many of the original melodies even more than the references. I'm not sure who did what in this collaboration, but both Saster and Innuendo have displayed consistent skill at writing vocal melodies, and that really shines here. Toby Fox is also obviously very talented at writing melodies, so it's difficult to make a song that's so heavily influenced by him and referencing his composition so frequently, whilst making your melody stand head to head with his. And I think they pull it off here. The whole tone this goes for is very fitting for Geno. Geno isn't like a power fantasy, or at least it isn't if you're not a weirdo. Songs associated with Geno should never sound triumphant, like Hopes and Dreams, for example. If you heard Hopes and Dreams on the murderous rampage the worst route of Undertale sends you on, it would just seem out of place. The intro to this song is somber and slow, and the ending really has a real think about what you did vibe. There's no fun, satisfying conclusion, just boyfriend singing to himself as Sans resigns himself to his fate. After all, he has to win over and over and over again. The player only has to win once, but maybe that's a little too introspective for the funny rapping game. There are two emotions in this song, despair and fury, and the parts of the song that are infused with rage, those are the parts that slap. I love the integration of Undertale sound fonts and sound effects in the beat, and the percussion has this real like marching feeling to it, like the song is plowing ahead, not letting anything stop it, which is just like the Geno route. I guess I actually did have an adequate amount to say. I really like this song. Transition. You're never getting You Can't Run Mega Man mix. At number 84, we've got Breakcore from Breakcore, composed by. Why did I not write anything there? Okay, I'm back. It was composed by Radical, but like the A is an X, so maybe it's like Radical. I don't know, man. Look, they did a great job. It was really hard to rank this song because I knew that I wanted to include it. But at a certain point, it's barely even an FNF song. There aren't chromatics here, not in the traditional sense. Proto and Mega's voices are just handled by some really nice sounding square synths, and I'm kinda like, this is just really good chiptune. So how do I compare it to all the others? In the end, it landed here. This song is just like, so pretty, man. Maybe I'm biased because I'm a huge Mega Man fan. Heck, my old mascot is a Robot Master. Hi Barrel Man, you might be back someday. But anyway, this song totally gives me the vibes of like a really great Famitracker tune composed by some of the classic Mega Man fan composers. It's melancholy, serene, and really different from any other Mega Man FNF track I've heard, but it actually works really well with the tone of Mega Man 3, Mega Man and Proto Man's relationship, and the feeling of the series as a whole. Obviously, it's not completely hardware accurate, but I'm not going to be like, oh, it's not accurate to the NES, oh, like who cares, dude, it sounds amazing. I love the detail that Proto Man starts and ends the song with the whistle that always plays when he shows up. And the buster shots being on beat too? Oh my goodness gracious, chat. And like when Proto Man gets his helmet knocked off and the melodies almost sound like a discussion, like meeting someone who's familiar, but you can't quite put your finger on why. And in the final section of the song, it jumps up in key and tone, and it sounds genuinely hopeful. It's a cathartic release to a song that's so somber throughout most of its runtime. Oh, and y'all, it's not called Breakcore because it's a Breakcore song. It's called Breakcore because Proto Man's secret identity is called Breakman. Has nobody played a Mega Man game in here? Don't answer that. The music just turns me on. Don't clip that.
The music just turns me on.
Raging into number 83, we've got iPhone by Poson and XREX M4RUU for 15 Lucas. I love 15 Lucas. Generally, 17 bucks inspired mods don't really click for me. Not because I dislike Trap or Jersey Club, but just because they all sort of sound kind of samey. But 15 Lucas? Ooh, I fuck with 15 Lucas heavy. It has such a variety in genres and samples, and it kind of feels like a combination of Hotline 24 and 17 bucks. And I was genuinely surprised it didn't land with a lot of people. I honestly like it about the same as 17 bucks, maybe even a little more, as blasphemous as that is, but wow, this song is such a throwback. It low-key makes me nostalgic for an era that, while I was alive for, I definitely wasn't fully conscious. This song is super happy hardcore, and it reminds me a lot of an S3RL song, and I think it might sample MTC, but don't quote me on that, and also don't look up what MTC stands for. I can hear some heavily filtered vocals in the instrumental, but I can't place exactly where they're from. But yeah, late 90s, early 2000s EDM, it's not something you hear often in FNF. If anything, this reminds me of Last Course. Not the Mario one, the one from Crunchin'. There's just such a unique energy to it, and it keeps ramping up as the song progresses, the song reaching a fever pitch before you get these little pockets of calmness. I mean, that's kind of how a lot of EDM is. You're just waiting for the drop, right? And this song delivers on that. Every drop is great, but the drop at the very end of the song, let me just set the scene for this one. The track has just finished its most intense section yet, and it transitions into this really nice piano part. It seems like it's about to end. Aldox and AVGN don't even sing here, but then AVGN sings a few notes, Aldox follows, and then boom, one last finale to finish the song off right. The stop and start rhythm here with every synth chord being punctuated by a kick, God, I just love when songs do this. AVGN sounds the best he does in the entire song during this part. Speaking of which, I need to address the elephant in the room, which is, the nerd's chromatic. But first let's talk about the other guy. Due to this being a 17 bucks-esque mod, I have no connection to this young man, or any preconceived notions about how he should sound. He's got a solid chromatic. Go white boy go! Or, go Hispanic boy, I'm actually not sure. Look, I shouldn't make any assumptions about you. Go Alex, go! But the nerd's chromatic is just him cursing. Points for funny, loss of points for not sounding as good as it could. I don't think it ruins the song or anything, but it would probably be so much better if he had a proper chromatic. C'est la vie. I still adore the song. Well, we just talked about 15 Lucas. Now, let's talk about where it all started.
3, 2, 1, go!
At number 82, we've got Jeans from 17 bucks, composed by Dogai. Man, this name has got to stop coming up, man. I still don't know how to say it. Jeans just encapsulates 17 bucks as a mod, and what makes people love 17 bucks so much. It is the most 17 bucksiest 17 bucks song. The vibe is just impeccable. It's rare to find an FNF song that has such a clear vision of the feeling that it's going for. But the random pauses and breaks for silence give the song a level of unpredictability, which is similar in some ways to BBG, which is another Dog Eye song, but it's never stressful, not at all. It just kind of sounds like they're freestyling, going bar for bar, taking a moment to think about what they're going to say before they want to say it. But it's consistently chill the whole way through. And as much as I love my big final blowout songs, sometimes two people can just be chillin'. Low stakes songs like this are nice when you're in the mood for them. One of the reasons this song is so good is because the chromatics are just operating on all cylinders, bro. Peacock's deep voice weaving through and duetting with Girlfriend's higher but still kinda low voice creates a super cool, calm feel. I just love how they both somehow sound bored and involved at the same time. They only get cooler the less they try. And not only is this probably the best GF chromatic ever, her little duh is so endearing and cute. Oh, the scrunkly. Anyway, speaking of Girlfriend, I know a lot of Girlfriend songs do this, but I really like the fact that this samples Tutorial from Base Game. I always love when the percussion from the song is used as a sort of like motif for GF, kind of like that one like Mario's Madness song. My main problem with this song is its length, and I wish it was longer, plain and simple. It's around the length of a base game song, which is part of the reason I'm being so like quick with this section. It doesn't really have any like repeat like sections, which is good for the overall song, but I really wouldn't have minded if you had repeated like one part of the song like one time to get us to 2 minutes. Oh well, still a super chill nodder. Like I said about the first song on the list, if my main critique is that a song is too short, it's a good song.
Lamos, it's me, Mario.
This is like one of the best Sonic style songs in the entire community, and it's not even for a Sonic mod. At number 81, we've got Mario Sing and Game Rhythm 9 from Mario's Madness, composed by Taskell. Wow, that's a mouthful. It was actually such a shock to see Samari of all characters make an appearance here. It reminds me of the good old days of like watching Normal Boots, and I really hope you guys aren't too young for that, but I used to watch hours full of like Space Hamster or Ant Dude talking about like bootlegs. Ant Dude is still kicking, but Space Hamster is just off the face of the earth. I really hope he's doing okay. Oh my god, Unc, just talk about the song. Okay. Jesus Christ. Anyway, yeah, it was super cool to see everyone's favorite bootleg, next to the obvious one. As much as I love my scary, spooky Ooga Booga, Mario's Madness actually does its more cheerful songs really well, and they stand out more as like a result of their context. Mario Sing and Game Rhythm 9 just has such like a funky, fast-paced energy to it, and as the only Sonic-esque song in the mod, it has a lot to live up to, but it 100% delivers. For once, I actually don't mind hearing Genesis E-Bass. The Genesis feel here actually sort of makes sense, kind of. I mean, Samari is built for NES hardware, but I think this is a super creative and fun way to musically represent him. The song uses Mario motifs, or, well, one Mario motif, but it uses Sonic instruments, which represents both of the properties that Samari is ripping off of at the same time, which is neat. You can't talk about... I'm not going to say the full song, I'm not going to say like the full name of the song again, I'm just going to shorten it. You can't talk about Game Rhythm 9 without mentioning the melodies. Not only are these some of the best melodies in all of Mario's Madness, they're also just some of the best in any FNF song, which is crazy to say like this early on the list, there's 100 of them, but like, they really stick in your brain. I find that like a lot of FNF songs often sacrifice strong melodies for difficulty, and I do think we've gotten better about that as a community in general, but this song isn't concerned with that. It just wants to give you a banger, and it gives you a banger. And fun fact, I am an absolute sucker for a good key change, and this song has a very, very good key change. It's such an amazing finale to the song. It sounds like Samari is really getting hyped up and going all out, and Pika Friend, who is apparently trans, good for him, gives him back the exact same energy. Just like a really great, super fun time all around.
Sonic.exe is a bitch-ass mother...
Let's see how fast I can write this script. The answer is pretty slow. This took me a really long time.
In 2 days.
Let's see how fast you can really go!
Finishing off the 80s, we've got Chaos from Versus Sonic.exe, composed by JC Umrus. I'm not sure if I got that name right. But man, do you remember when Sonic.exe 2.0 came out and it was like peak? Like, there was so much content, and the art was so good, and the music was great. Remember when Endless was, like, the best song ever? J-Stars isn't even, like, in the FNF community anymore. Nice work getting out, bud. They'll definitely be missed, like, not just for their compositions, but also for their amazing voice acting. Chaos is just such a banger, man. There are very few FNF songs where the melodies latch to your mind as strongly as these ones. But I don't think there's a single forgettable pattern of notes in this entire song. Even higher songs on this list have parts that I forget. But I think I could recite all of Chaos from memory. Okay, well, I'm not actually going to do it, but like, I think I could. Sonic.exe is a mod like filled with Genesis instrumentation, and it probably led to the overutilization of Genesis sound fonts shortly after its release, which was criticized by musicians like John Tay. However, most of the mod takes inspiration from Sonic 2's soundtrack, which makes sense. It is, after all, the most iconic of the original trilogy, and if I recall correctly, the game that Sonic.exe takes place in. But what helps Chaos stand out more is that this song, and like its sound effects, composition, the instrumental, it's much more like Sonic 3. Which not only does this help Chaos distinguish itself a bit from like the sea of Genesis songs that are already like floating out there, which is only a retroactive problem really, but I also think that Sonic 3 has an underrated soundtrack overall. Ice Cap Zone is one of my favorite songs in the series. And though you probably caught the reference to Death Egg Robot from Sonic 2, you might have missed the reference to Perfect Chaos Revival, and Metallic Madness. All the references in this song aren't exact, and I think they're pretty subtle, and that's kind of why I like them. As much as I appreciate like an obvious leitmotif, I also like when they're a little bit more hidden like this. Alright, I'll stop avoiding it. There's one thing in this song that I have not mentioned yet, and it's the voice lines, which are just iconic. Probably like the best integration of not necessarily lyrics, but voice clips in any FNF song like ever, before and after. I mean, hearing Fleetway like start out taunting you, react in shock when Boyfriend goes super, and just progressively get more and more frustrated over the course of the song, it just makes everything so much better. The "now I'll show you" before the final beat drop is just so satisfying. It feels so good to put Fleetway in his place, and what a perfect voice for him too. Hats off to JC, they killed this. And good luck to them on their future non-funny rapping game projects. Anyway, that's all I gotta say.
My main goal is to blow up. And then act like I don't know nobody.
3, 2, 1, yeah!
Coming in at number 79, we've got Overhead, but like the E is a 3. Composed by Tic Tato and literally no one for B2 Remixed. Woody's entire week in B2 is just explosive, pun very intended, and I think this song is just like an encapsulation of that. I think I already used that word, I'm getting redundant, bro, I'm washed. From the very start, the energy is like on 10, and it only breaks the scale from then onwards. This song is just heavy, man. It curb stomps your ears with like a wall of pure noise, and it sounds so good you can't even complain. There's just like no breaks the entire song. Usually I like when a song has a section that's more subdued, as like a healthy counterpart to the jamming sections, but this song just continuously ups the ante, which I think is a really interesting and very fitting approach. Sure, the entire song is a headbanger, but this also forces the song to keep going harder, keep topping itself, because if it doesn't, it'll just come off as disappointing. Overhead, with a 3 instead of an E, rises to that self-imposed challenge beautifully. The closest thing we get to a calmer section is the little sort of like bridge that samples Mr. Age by Playboi Carti and Trippie Redd. Although, that beat is probably more well known from Mario Judah's remix, which goes hard as fuck. I really like when FNF music samples other songs, partially because I personally really like sampling, but also just because FNF mods can get away with so much due to not being for profit. You know, they don't have to worry about royalties. On a tangent aside, I really like how the sample sounds here. The final beat drop in this song is just like unreal though, genuinely. It tricks you into thinking it's going to repeat the first beat drop with a similar build-up, then it kind of like fakes you out with a section that is somehow even better than the first. The pounding, energetic synth chords and the way Bartholomew and Woody's melodies just dance and weave around each other is just so hype. Woody's little bit that sounds like the original Overhead just sounds so good too for some reason. And don't even get me started on that little like square chiptune instrument that ends things off. You'd really think the song would calm down after this point, but even this outro is a bop in its own right. I don't find myself ranting about this song from like a thematic or character standpoint, but I don't really think I have to. It's just a banger, and sometimes that's all I need.
Ma, they following me, Ma. They following me.
The devil shudders when a nice guy loses his temper. At number 78, we've got Followed from Guy by Blackberry, Hedzo, and KiwiQuest. And before I even start this question, I gotta ask, why is bro's name Sinnoh? Do they think this is Gen 4? Followed is interesting for me because while I like it, I don't think I like it as much as most people do. Obviously, it's on this list, meaning it's in my top 100, and I like it more than thousands of other FNF songs, but I do still think that some people will be a little surprised it isn't higher up. My main and basically only critique that stops us from moving higher is that Sinnoh's voice gets a little lost in the mix in my opinion. Though I do love how it sounds in comparison and juxtaposition to Brook, I actually prefer the chromatics of the main four. But I'm getting ahead of myself. There's a lot that happens in this song, and besides my one hang-up, I think this is pretty much a perfect conclusion to Guy. As Guy enters its final act, the tone of the mod begins to shift from like fun and goofy to dark and foreboding, and Followed is kind of the perfect culmination of that. It's got a sense of like finality, raw intensity, and the overwhelming feeling of like, I went somewhere I was not supposed to, holy shit, I'm fucked. The usage of leitmotifs not only enhances the final boss feel of the song, driving home how far you've come, but they're also just a great representation of the tonal shift of the mod. The melodies that were so funny haha joke mod before are now twisted, warped, and intimidating. And then Sinnoh brings out the band. I love how when Freddy comes out, he immediately slows the beat down a bit. I've always thought of Freddy as the calmest of the OG crew, the most patient. And it makes sense the lead singer of the group would come out first, right? Bonnie's next, and while I don't have much to say about his section, I do like his melody. It's a great way of building tension, and I love the way he quotes lore at the end, which is actually repeated a lot throughout the song. Chica is the penultimate appearance, and I think she might actually have my favorite chromatic in the whole song. Like the high-pitched snarling tone, it really stands out from the rest of the instrumental, which pretty much beats my only problem with the song. Though, unfortunately, it isn't long before her section ends, but it's also kind of fortunate because we're hit with Foxy's section, and oh my goodness gracious, the beat immediately kicks up to double time, and Foxy just sounds like a feral beast on this track. Sinnoh is like literally barely holding him back. I absolutely love this portrayal of Foxy, and I think having him as the final member of the OG squad to show up, like, it really works. I actually like the sections here in ascending order. Freddy is my least favorite, then Bonnie, then Chica, then Foxy. So I kind of like that escalation. After all this, we get the final section of the song. Sinnoh locks in, and the key of the song jumps up the scale, and this is it. I actually don't have much to say about this section in comparison to the rest of the song. It's kind of just Sinnoh's first section, but, like, better. Poor Brook sounds like he's panicking. His vocals getting super high here as he tries to escape, but it's too late. After one last, really good beat drop, the song slowly winds down, and things don't exactly end the best for our boy Brook. Yikes. Good song, though.
Don't come to my house or else I'll suck your...
Yes, this is genuinely above Followed. I'm being so fucking for real.
3, 2, 1, go!
Coming in at number 77, we've got Ghost Bluster by Red TV 53 from Ghouls and Grooves. So, there is definitely a bit of bias at play here. There's no way any of you could have known this, but theremin is actually one of my favorite musical instruments. Like ever. And I can't explain exactly why, but something about its whistling, eerie tones just scratches my brain. This song is like a spooky, bouncy banger that heavily features the instrument as the backbone of the whole track, so, like, obviously I'm going to love it. The combination of other traditionally Halloweeny instruments such as piano, xylophone, and harpsichord make everything, like, delightfully stereotypical in a way that hasn't really been touched on in the FNF sphere much. I really like Halloween, guys. It's my favorite holiday, actually. So yeah, I like this one. Every single one of Bluster and Petra's duets are so much fun to listen to. These two voices are genuinely perfect together. Petra's slightly uncertain but focused voice melds great with Bluster's gravelly, mischievous beat boops. Bluster actually sounds kind of ethereal in the higher notes of his chromatic, though, which obviously fits a ghost, but it also makes the sections where the two of them duet really stand out. They also just straight up have the catchiest melody in the entire song during these parts. A good melody makes sense to your brain. Each note fits together in a way that's interesting but subconsciously predictable. The mirror sections are a particular highlight. The song immediately gets a little like bassier in these parts, and the way the synth arpeggios drift from like left to right in the soundscape, it's super unique. I can't think of any other FNF song that utilizes panning to this extent, and it gives the song a really eerie 3D feel, like the song is drifting around your room. And the way our antagonist sounds during these sections is the best in the entire song, despite not having my favorite melodies. I think he sounds amazing over this backing. His little like backup vocals during the second mirror section after the key change are so satisfying. The character of an FNF song is viscerally important, and this song is very much enhanced by the excellent voice acting of Red TV himself. The song simply wouldn't be the same without Bluster's cartoonishly evil cackles. Look, I could go on trying to rationalize forever, but I just really like Ghost Bluster, dog. Like, it's just that simple.
Glazing can be defined pretty easily. It's simply the...
God. Flavor Rave is such like an excellent mod. I really missed all the stuff with OCs, and though I don't think any modern OC mod will ever have the influence of the classics like Witty and Midfight Masses, none of those mods truly have the scope of the modern multi-opponent mods we're frequently spoiled by today. Flavor Rave, however, does. The amount of content in this mod is insane. Please go play it. Alright, tangent over. Let's do this.
Locked and loaded.
At number 76, we've got Wasabi from Flavor Rave, composed by DPZ. DPZ already proved his skill with feudal Asian influenced sounds in the previously mentioned Your Demise, but I think it really comes together in Wasabi. It's quick and extremely danceable, but it nonetheless has a kind of mystique around it, super fitting of a ninja like Smokey. The usage of the shamisen he plays goes insanely hard. The fact that its patterns are slightly different in the sections where it goes toe-to-toe against Sour's synth due to the differences in how those instruments are played is an insane level of detail that I really appreciate. And the slide notes in Smokey's vocals during those parts with the kind of bluesy scale are so sick. One thing I will endlessly glaze Flavor Rave for, alongside the myriad of things there are to glaze Flavor Rave about, is how excellent the musicians are on the team at combining the styles and genres the characters represent. Besides the flavoring and food theming, every character in the mod is tied to a specific genre. When two characters go head to head, their styles are married and often end up sounding like actual fusion genres. Electro swing, artcore, etc, etc. Wasabi in particular reminds me heavily of like the feudal Japanese drum and bass I used to listen to back in the day. The orchestral and oriental elements of the piece are layered on top of the synth bass and percussion in a way that really conveys a sense of Sour backing Smokey up rather than outright attempting to outshine him, which can possibly be seen as a reflection of what Sour learns in his dual performance with Sweet. I don't want to thrust meaning onto DPC's music that may or may not have been intentional, but I think it's very cool you can read a character arc into the song like that. Like all of Flavor Rave, it's just dead-ass really fun. Sometimes that's all there is to it. Also, points for the Japanese bra sound effect. It made me chuckle slightly.
Drug out into the street and shot.
It's been forever since I recorded. I gotta find the YouTuber voice again, bruh. Let's finish part 1 off right. 75, we have Ultrafield, composed by Nex_S for the Versus Gorefield mod. Look, man, nostalgia is a hell of a drug. Deep down in my heart, I will always be that cringy Undertale fan I was in middle school. I remember the first time I saw the original Ultra Sans animation and I genuinely thought it was the coolest shit ever. The Waters of Megalovania mashup created by Botanic Sage that was used in the animation was what introduced me to Waters of Nazareth as well as Justice, the group. Years later, Bad Monday Simulator releases and it references Ultra Sans of all things. And then at this point, FNF modding is an interest of mine. Versus Gorefield releases featuring a song against Ultra Sansfield that references the original Ultra Sans animation and Botanic Sage's Waters of Megalovania, which brings the whole thing full circle. The amount of fandom soup I had to wade through over the course of my life for this to be as impactful as it was is kind of insane. So yeah, this track just really resonates with me. But even all that aside, the track is just genuinely heavy as hell in a shockingly satisfying way. Every single beat drop just works. The first one, where Sansfield starts singing the melody of Monday Mania, is so climactic right off the bat, and I honestly thought the song was showing its hand too early on first listen. I was, of course, incorrect. This song is one of the most dynamic FNF songs I've heard, with variety across sections that gives even songs in the upper echelons of this list a run for their money. Ooh, upper echelons. I'm in my vocabulary bag, bruh. The most impressive aspect of this track, the way I see it, is how differently it begins and ends, and how naturally it progresses to that point over the course of the song. Tangent, you know what I think is the most underrated Sans-related song in Undertale? Megalovania.
Oh, brother, this guy's
Okay, that's obviously a joke. My real answer is, it's raining somewhere else. It's an absolutely beautiful composition, and in my opinion, it's some of Toby Fox's best work. I mention IRSE, oh my god, acronym, because the slower, quieter section in Ultrafield really reminds me of it. But it also reminds me of Sans, the song, with its percussion, and the kind of slow build-up immediately following it is hella climactic. That one section really stands out to me. And then after that we get the song's trump card, and just the absolutely stellar Waters of Nazareth inspired. Why am I really struggling to say that? Nazareth, the absolutely stellar Waters of Nazareth section. The absolutely stellar Waters of Nazareth inspired section, whatever, fuck this. It's very interesting that the iconic WON synths are arranged here instead of sampled, with the sampling instead being relegated to the vocal chops in the outro, but I think it definitely works. In fact, I actually really respect that choice. I think it's very unique, and it's still abundantly clear what the track is referencing. It's just goated as shit, man. This song is just pure unadulterated hype, and it's a perfect climax to Versus Gorefield's excellent Sansfield week, as well as a perfect ending to this video. Yep, that's the outro segue. Yep. We're done. We're finally done with part 1. Yeah, I've still got to make parts 2 through 4. This video really just got away from me, and to the point where when this project is finished, it's gonna be 4 hours of content. Dude. Look, man. As I said in the intro, subscribe if you don't want to miss the other parts. It'll probably take a while to finish the whole list. And it just now occurs to me that I don't really know how to write an outro, so I'm going to stop scripting now and just ramble for a while. If you want to click off, you can click off at this point. If you want to stick around, you can stick around. If you leave a comment, like, subscribe, your critique is valued, because this is kind of my first video, first big video where I talk a lot. And I feel over the course of the video, there's kind of an evolution in quality where I learn how to use the mic better, and I start putting on a little bit of a YouTuber voice, and that really happens over the course of the video. So it's kind of like a shift in quality from the beginning to the end. And I'm gonna stop editing at this point too. And I hopefully other videos of mine will be more consistent quality wise. And I still feel weird about using footage from other people, but I edit it a lot. So I feel maybe it's fair use or something. If any of them tell me to take it down, obviously I would listen. I feel sad, but I just couldn't get good at FNF fast enough to release this video in a timely manner. No one wants to watch footage of me missing every fucking note or just dying. I would just die. Anyway, I really hope this video does okay, because obviously I put a ton of work into it. I'm I'm not too optimistic. I'm aiming for like 1K views. If this video gets 1K views, like I'm just gonna put that into perspective of like 1,000 people is a lot of people, like when you really think about it. Like it's not that much for a YouTube video, but like grand scheme, that's a lot of people. So if 1,000 people see this, I will be very honored. So more content like this is on the way too. Not all of it is going to be FNF, though there will be other FNF things, and God, it is so nice to be finished and finally upload something. Like and subscribe, more content on the way. Barrel out.
Hey yo! Hey yo! Hey yo! Hey yo!